What's going on, everyone? Talen here, and welcome to another Marvel Future Fight video. Alright, so in this one here, we're going to be taking Scarlet Witch in against Galactus. So yeah, I probably saw that one coming. I got her to tier 3, and so I want to test her out against Galactus to see how she can do. So first, before we jump into the gameplay, let's go ahead and take a look at my build here on Scarlet. So we have her pretty good on the Uru front here. I have a few Odin's Blessings on her, 3 of them there, or no, 4 of them actually, so I can still load her up a little bit more, but we mainly have energy attack and crit damage and crit rate stuff on her. For her skills, we have all of her skills fully leveled up. For her Ice Weight set, we have a fully awakened Power of Angry Hulk, and then for her CTP here, we do have a CTP of energy on her right now. It's a 200% proc, and if we take a look at her details here, we do have max ignore defense and skill cooldown, and then even with all of those Urus on her, she's still a little bit lower than I would like for her crit rate and crit damage, but we're getting up there. Might have to toss a few more Odin's Blessings on her, or get some of those legendary Urus up to mythic, because I believe I only have legendary Urus on her. Besides, of course, the Odin's Blessings, so I can do a little bit of improvement there. And she has basically max attack speed because only 0.5% off there. So yeah, that's what Scarlet's looking like. So let's go ahead and jump into the gameplay and see how she did against Galactus. Alright, so here we are loading into the fight. We've got 2 random teammates that we picked up here that are going to try to help us out. We've got a tier 3 Iron Man, and then we've got a guy with the starting team there. And he's got the female Cap uniform on for some reason, not really sure why. But anyway, this is the teammates that we got helping us out here, and we're going to be using kind of full support here for Scarlet, since we can use her own leadership because it's self-buffing. Then we've got Shuri and Wave for their tier 2 passives. And I'm going to be using pretty much the same skill rotation that I use in World Boss Ultimate. I do the 5th skill, and I cancel that into the 4th, and then I cancel the 4th into the 3rd skill, and the 3rd skill is where I get my damage proc. And as you can see here, we are doing really nice damage, as long as I actually, get the proc to activate at the correct time, which so far so good, but I did have one kind of trial attempt before this where I was just getting so many of my damage procs off. I was missing like 80% of my damage procs, so I was like, you know what, I'm just going to reload this because I'm not hitting any of these procs. But anyway, as you can see here, her damage is very, very good against Galactus. I mean, she is a character that can do kind of the triple buff there, leadership buff with also 2 support buffs, so that does help, but she has pretty strong raw damage as is. And when I use the tier 3 skill, I try to just do the 5th skill, I cancel the 5th skill, and then if I've been having good success with keeping my damage proc in line, then I usually feel more comfortable canceling the 4th into it as well, so do the 5-4 cancel into the tier 3. If I've not been filling it, if I've been just missing a lot of procs and it seems like I'm just getting unlucky with the proc going off like immediately when I try to use the 5th skill, then I'll just use the 5th skill and go right into the tier 3. You lose a little bit of damage that way because you don't get the, of course, the damage from the 4th skill or the chain hits that it'll build up for you. But also what's pretty cool about the tier 3 skill here for Wanda is that at the very end of it, you can see those butterflies that are kind of sitting back at the back of the screen there. That's towards the end of the tier 3. Those don't actually fly in and start hitting the boss until you're basically ready for another damage proc. So you can do the 5-4 cancel and then go into your 3, and then when your proc is going off and you're just starting the 3rd skill, all those butterflies will swoop in and do damage for that 2nd rotation as well. So her tier 3 can kind of get some good damage in for 2 damage proc rotations, which is actually quite nice. So I found that to be pretty cool if you can time that. If not, then hey, you just get the extra damage anyway. It just may not line up with your proc, but usually it does, but it's usually kind of close in terms of lining up. So this is another thing that you can try to time if you start playing around with Scarlet a little bit more. But for me, I just stick with my skill rotation and don't really focus on it too much. I just make sure that I try to get my damage proc on the 3rd skill, because that seems to be a pretty big difference in damage if you just do like 5 cancel and then have the 4th skill do your damage proc, it's still good damage, but it's nowhere near the 5-4 cancel into 3. So letting the oh gosh, I got hit by the meteors there, and that did quite a bit of damage. Yeah, using the 3rd skill is actually really good with this uniform here, just because then you, or at least with a damage proc, if you have like a rage or a judgment, then it's probably not as important. But the 3rd skill, since it's that kind of semi-channeling skill, you can have your damage proc activated the entire time. Whereas if you do the 5 cancel into 4, as soon as your 4th skill is done, then your damage proc ends, but you still have the 5th skill animation going off, so you still have damage that you could be getting from the 5th skill with the damage proc if your skill had lasted longer. So that's why I like to use the 3rd skill as my proccing skill. But again, the 4th skill still does pretty good damage if you proc on it, that is. So here we go. Flying around, collecting some of those orbs. And another strategy with her that I haven't really tried out much yet is you can actually cancel your 3rd skill. So you could just do like 5 cancel, tier 3 cancel, and then into the 3rd skill. I'm not really sure if that's going to be doing more damage or not, because if you cancel the 3rd skill, you just don't get those rocks that she's lifting up there. So you just have all of the kind of AoE from like the butterflies and flowers and stuff like that. You don't get the extra damage from the rocks. So I'm not really sure if that's a significant portion of the damage or not, because I just kind of saw that in the comments section saying, hey, can you cancel her tier 3? And I was like, oh yeah, let me check. So I went into the skill preview and I was like, yeah, you can cancel her tier 3 and get most of the effects. If you let the tier 3 play through part way when she just starts summoning the rocks, then you can still cancel it as soon as you see the rocks, and then the rocks will still be there. But by that point, you probably have had your damage proc go off. If you're using a rage or a judgment, then you can just cancel it and just start spamming into other skills. So that is something to keep in mind if you do have like an activation proc, is that you can cancel the tier 3 after you see the rocks, and you can just start going into other skills to stack up more damage. But here we go. As you can see, full solo here from Scarlet, and she did it in like 5.5 minutes with doing most of the, pretty much all the damage. And yeah, she very comfortably able to do it. For this run here, I missed a few damage procs, probably like 30% of my procs, so she probably could have done this even quicker. She probably could have got to like the 5-minute mark, which is actually quite impressive for me in particular, because I've already mentioned this before, but with my current cards, builds, rosters, and characters, like all my other tier 3s that I have kind of invested in as well, this is still really fast compared to my other tier 3s. So compared to like my Captain Marvel with Rage, compared to my Namor with Rage, compared to my Sharon Rogers. My Sharon Rogers doesn't have Rage, so she just has a regular 200% proc. But compared to all of them, this is still really fast for me in my current roster. So I think Scarlet has some pretty nice raw damage here, and she can definitely do Galactus, and she can definitely solo him. So yeah, that's going to be it for this video here. Hopefully you guys enjoyed, and of course I will catch you in the next one.